The United Kingdom used to be the global leader in forensic science, undisputed. But today, that very same system is in what experts are calling a graveyard spiral, a crisis so profound that they're seriously questioning if it can even survive. And listen, that phrase, graveyard spiral, that's not just media hype. That's a direct quote from Professor Angela Gallup, one of the UK's most respected forensic scientists, speaking directly to the House of Lords. The title of her report was literally Pulling Out of the Graveyard Spiral. I mean, that alone tells you something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. So we're not talking about a gentle decline here. This is a dramatic, head-spinning fall from grace. Think about it. The country that pioneered DNA fingerprinting is now just struggling to maintain its most basic forensic abilities. So the huge question is, how on earth did it get to this point? Okay, first, let's just get a sense of the sheer scale of the problem, because this is a system in crisis, and it feels like it's failing pretty much everyone. According to expert testimony, nobody is winning here. Police are struggling to get timely evidence. Scientists are literally watching their specialized fields just vanish. This means lawyers on both sides, prosecution and defense, can't properly challenge or rely on that evidence. And the ultimate result? The public starts to lose faith that justice can be reliably delivered at all. So what caused this massive systemic collapse? Well, the answer seems to lie in a failed experiment. The decision to turn forensic science into a privatized, competitive market. Now, it all started out promisingly enough. Back in the 2000s, you had healthy competition and it was really sparking innovation. But then a series of decisions just paved the way for failure. In 2012, the state-owned Forensic Science Service was shut down, pushing everything out into the private sector. Then austerity hit police budgets hard, and the focus shifted from getting the best quality science to just getting the cheapest price. It became a race to the bottom, and by 2017, major providers were already going bankrupt. Which brings us to today's, frankly, shocking reality. A single company now controls a staggering 86% of the entire forensic services market in England and Wales. Let's be clear, that is not a competitive market. It's a near monopoly. And that creates a massive systemic risk while killing the very innovation this whole thing was supposed to create. And Professor Gallup's words here really hammer home what's been lost. She called that earlier period the best time for forensic science. And that golden age has now been replaced by this fragile, monolithic system where that imagination and determination have been completely stifled. This market failure isn't just some abstract economic issue. It has a real, tangible, and, let's be honest, a pretty terrifying human cost. Just take a look at textile fiber analysis. A little over a decade ago, the UK had about 40 specialists in this field. Today, there are only 4 or 5. That's almost a 90% collapse in a really critical area of expertise. So why does that matter? It matters because of this. As this powerful quote reminds us, microscopic fibers were the absolute key to solving one of the most important murder cases in modern British history, the racist killing of Stephen Lawrence. Without that specific expertise, justice in that landmark case might never have been served. And that leads to a really chilling question, doesn't it? If a case like Stephen Lawrence's were to happen today, does the UK even have the scientific capability left to solve it? The simple and pretty frightening answer might just be no. The unavoidable conclusion here is pretty stark. When this kind of scientific expertise is allowed to just erode away, the risk of miscarriages of justice, of the innocent being convicted and the guilty walking free, that risk inevitably goes up. Okay, so what's the solution? How can the UK possibly pull out of this spiral? Well, there are a couple of major proposals on the table for reform. One of the leading ideas is to create a new national body. This institute would be responsible for protecting the independence of forensic science, setting a national strategy for R&D, and, crucially, making sure that these vital but niche skills, like fiber analysis, are never again allowed to just disappear. For inspiration, a lot of people are looking north to Scotland. Unlike the cost-driven, fragmented market in England and Wales, Scotland runs its forensics under a single public authority. It's a model that's driven by science, not by price, with scientific oversight that stretches from the crime scene all the way to the courtroom. And as Professor Niam Neek-Dayaid explains, the huge advantage of the Scottish model is that it puts scientific thinking at the absolute beginning of an investigation. It's not just about running tests in a lab later on, it's a holistic, science-led approach to solving crime from the get-go.
So, with the system clearly in crisis and some potential solutions on the table, where does the UK stand right now? Is it actually pulling out of the spiral?
Well, a really fundamental tension remains unresolved. As private labs fail, a lot of police forces are just bringing more forensic work in-house. Now, experts are warning this is a really dangerous path. Science has to be impartial, but putting it inside a police culture creates a huge risk of cognitive bias, and that threatens the very foundations of a fair justice system.
For its part, the government has acknowledged there's a crisis. It's appointed a new national director to lead reforms and develop a new strategy. So yes, the first steps are being taken, but some really big questions still remain.
Which brings us to our final question. With an 86% market monopoly, with critical scientific expertise vanishing before our eyes, and with the science itself drifting further under police control, are these new reforms really going to be enough to truly pull UK forensic science out of that graveyard spiral, or is it all just too little too late?